أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من شر الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum, my beloved ones, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we are going to continue the Q&A on the rules of Tawaf. And inshallah, we are going to take today the section which says the impurity of the body and dress of the person performing the Tawaf. So the question number one asked with this regards is that it has been mentioned in the manasik that the blood less than the digit of the thumb is not permissible to have on the body or the dress of the salat on the basis of obligatory precaution. So the question is that is it permissible to have it on the dress and the body of a person who's offering the salat of tawaf? He says yes, it is permissible. As you know that in the chapter of salat, normally our obligatory salat, there is a section which is called the exempt najasat. So there are areas, there are najasat, or there are types of najasat, or the circumstances of najasat in which which are exempt for a person offering the salat, obligatory salat, because you have to have purification of the body and the dress for the salat, for the obligatory salat. So however, there are a few exemptions. One of the exemptions are or is the amount of blood which is equal to or less than the digit of the thumb. Okay, they call it dirham, like one coin. There's one coin, they considered the area of this. It should not be more than that. Uh, so, like, and there are some conditions also. What type of blood, like blood of injury, blood of anything, as long as it is not the blood of, like najas al-ain, like dog and pig and those kind of things. So anyhow, those are conditions that one can refer to the chapter of Salat in the book of Islamic law. If you go to the chapter of Salat, you will find that. So those conditions of the chapter of Salat, they are applicable where? In the conditions of the Salat of Tawaf. Salat of Tawaf is Salat. The obligatory Salat which is prayed behind Maqam Ibrahim for the Tawaf, 2 rakat, it is Salat. So those are applicable here. But because we had mentioned that in one of the narrations, hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasallam, what did he say? At-tawafu kas-salah. Tawaf is like Salat. That means the rules which are required in Salat are required in Tawaf. However, there are some exceptional cases. Not every rule. In general, the rules or which are applied for a person, obligations and conditions which are applied in the Salat are also required and applied in the Tawaf, except for few things. So not everything, in general, many things, but there are some exceptionals. One of those exceptionals is this ruling, that the blood, and that is also an obligatory precaution to say the Sistani Dama Dhallo, that because normally the blood is not exempt in the Salat. but except for this amount and certain conditions. So can we apply this in the chapter of Tawaf? No. There are maraja, they may apply, they may take that narration, they might not find any narration exempting or exceptional or those kind of things. But here Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah has, no, we cannot apply it here on the basis of obligatory precaution. So if you offered a salat and there was an amount of blood less than this digit of a thumb, and you were doubting that is it applicable or not, and you know the ruling of salah, so you will not here. Let's say you offered the salat, then you'll have to find someone else, another marja, who allows you to have that kind of amount of blood on your body or dress of the salat. Question number 2. Carrying the najasat. Okay. Other than, so the najasat is on you're carrying the najasat other than the dress of ihram. So can someone carry najasa? Like we mentioned that you have a container, there's a sample of urine or something like that, or there's something which has blood on it, your handkerchief, and you're carrying it. So, or a towel or anything, it has blood on it or it has urine on it, but you're carrying it now. You're not wearing it, carrying it. So can someone carry najasat? So he says, what is the ruling of someone who did the tawaf of Umrah or Hajj and he was carrying the najasat and other than the dress of ihram? So he says there's no problem as long as that thing is carried and not worn. That means you are not wearing it. You're carrying it. Question number 3. هل يضره now carrying also, not dress, it's not dress, carrying. So is it going to be, is the tawaf going to be invalid by carrying a leather of non-edible animal or a doubtful in its purity? That means we are doubting whether it has been the leather of the animal which was the source of the leather was slaughtered properly or not slaughtered properly according to the Islamic way. Or no, it was slaughtered or hunted according to Islamic methodology. However, we are doubting that was it edible or not edible, from the edible animal or from non-edible animal. Or can someone, or if someone carries the impure object such as urine and stool and blood, or the defiled object, so the difference between impure object and the defiled with impurity, the impure object is originally impure by its essence, like urine. But when it touches the dress, for example, this dress is not now impure object. This is called mutanajjis. It is defiled object with the najasat of, with the impurity of the urine, for example, because the urine touched it. He says all that you can carry it. La yadurru. There is no problem in it. You can carry all these things during the tawaf. Question number 4. What about the baby? Okay. The baby has diaper and you're carrying the baby and you're doing the tawaf around the Kaaba. So this, like many times you carry the baby here and then you're doing the tawaf around the Kaaba, and then you realize, oh my goodness, he has done it in in his diapers, in her diaper. So is it permissible to carry a child during the tawaf if there was najasat, impurity in his diaper? He says, yes, it's permissible. It's carrying. Question number 5. Uh, if a person was performing the tawaf and during the tawaf he felt that there is blood in his nose, so he wiped it with a towel or tissue or whatever piece of cloth and completed the tawaf, is there any problem? The answer, if his body, his external body did not become impure, defiled, that means, neither his dress, then there's no problem in it. Why? Because as we said, the towel he wiped and he kept it in his pocket, or he was carrying it. So it is again carrying. Question number 6. While he was performing the tawaf, uh, he got injured. And that happens. I mean, many times we see people, they stop on the foot of each other, and let's say the one person, his foot had injury on it and somebody stepped on it and it started bleeding, or he stepped on something sharp, something. Sometimes there are some things people fall, I mean, somebody's shoes you'll run into, and there are things happening sometimes in tawaf. So somebody stepped on this issue. Anyhow, during the tawaf, he became injured and the blood continued for a few hours. So, is it permissible for someone who's performing the tawaf in this state to consider this blood from the blood which is unavoidable, or it is avoidable, however, with difficulty and hardship? So, should he continue the tawaf with this blood, considering the blood which is unavoidable, or avoiding the blood is as the purification and those kind of things is associated with difficulty and hardship, or he should wait until the blood stops, okay, until the bleeding stops? He says that if waiting until the blood stops is not going to cause difficulty and hardship on him, and there was no need to rush into performing the tawaf, then on the basis of obligatory precaution, one should wait until the blood stops. So, if waiting is going to be difficult, okay, if waiting is not going to be difficult, should wait until it ends. So waiting is not difficult, going to cause difficulty and hardship, and there was no need to complete the tawaf. There was no need. There was no reason for him to to finish the tawaf ASAP, okay, or hasten in finishing the tawaf. Then on the basis of obligatory precaution, one should wait. Now, we discussed these issues before, Like, what are the reasons? One of the most important reason is that the caravan may leave, okay? And you don't have that much time. You have to finish the tawaf now and then go home and get your bag into them and the bus and the caravan will leave, for example. So that is a kind of necessity that puts you in that um, hesitation. I mean, in that haste that you have to do it now. So that is understood that if delaying, okay, delaying was not going to be cause of difficulty until the blood stops, and there was no need or necessity that requires him to finish the tawaf in haste or sooner, then on the basis of obligatory precaution, one should observe patience. Question number 7. If a person felt wetness on his dress of ihram, when he came back to home and examined the ihram, dress of ihram, wajada najasatan fiha. He found that there was impurity. That means that wetness was actually najasat, impurity. Okay. فتيقن أنها هي التي أحس بها أثناء الطواف. Okay, now here's the scenario. So he felt some wetness during the tawaf on his dress. After he came back, number 2, he found out it is really that wetness is najasat. Okay. And number 3, he became sure, like he got certainty that this najasat which he found out is the one which he felt while he was performing the tawaf. So what will be the ruling of his tawaf? And obviously salat al-tawaf, because he came back home. يصح طوافه. His tawaf will be valid. وكذا صلاة الطواف. And also the salat of tawaf. Okay. That is not completed yet. So it's valid if إذا لم يحتمل آنذاك كون البلل نجاسة. Okay. So he became sure that that was najasa. But at that time when you felt the wetness, did you have some feeling or a probability that it could be najasat? If you did not have feeling, no, you felt that wetness, okay, then it is okay. So what if I felt that time in my heart, this may be najasat, then, and you did not examine that time, then on the basis of obligatory precaution, repeat the salat. Repeat the what? Salat. فالأحوط إعادة صلاته, not tawaf. وأما إذا كان قد احتمل ذلك, however, if he had if he had felt that it may be the najasat, okay, he had some possibility that it might be najasat. That means examine. ولم يتفحص. He did not examine. فالأحوط إعادة صلاته. On the basis of obligatory precaution, he should repeat the salat. But why salat, not tawaf? Because remember, ihtamala is like doubt. So when you doubt that you encountered najasat or not, during the tawaf? Because possibility means a doubt. So that means you will consider not najasa. That means you are going, after you finish the tawaf, your tawaf would be okay. But the upcoming obligation needs the purity, or needs the process of purification. Okay? فَالْأَحْوَطِ إِعَادَةُ الصَّلَاةِ. So if he did not examine and he completed the tawaf, and in that kind of possibility or doubt, he completed the salat of tawaf, so we'll say, okay, tawaf, okay, we'll consider that you felt at the end of tawaf. Okay, so your tawaf is okay, but the rule of the end will fix your tawaf. But then you're supposed to fix your purity, and get the process of purification for the upcoming wajib, next wajib, which is salat of tawaf, and you did not do. So here also say the Sistani Damadullah has obligatory precaution to redo the salat. Okay. Question number 8. إذا طاف, if a person performs the tawaf and on his body or dress impurity, najasa, that means urine, stool, blood, وهو لا يعلم, and he does not have knowledge, that this is a case of ignorance, unawareness. So he was unaware that the body and the dress is required to be pure during the tawaf. So what is his rule? So the ignorance are two types. One is unintentional ignorance. One is intentional ignorance. Unintentional ignorance, many times, in many cases, it is pardoned. However, intentional ignorance is not pardoned. What is the difference between intentional and intentional? Intentional ignorance, maybe the expression in English is not correct, but it's a simple one, that you were intentionally, deliberately ignorant. How? So you had a doubt. This is you need to focus on this. You had a doubt. Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you clarify the situation? You remained in doubtful condition. That means you remained unaware, and you were able to ask two things: encounters of doubt and ability to ask, ability to clarify the doubt, and you did not. So there was encounters of doubt, and there was someone who you could ask. Nowadays, you can just call a Maulana who's professional in, or he knows the ahkam. Like, and there may be a hotline for Hajj and Umrah. So, or your friend Maulana, or you're somebody you know, you just call him immediately, and he can answer you, and you know he can answer you. So, and you did not. So here, doubt plus ability to clarify the doubt, you did not do. You did not do intentionally. So that is, you intentionally remained in your unawareness. In that case, the tawaf will be invalid. Because why were you unaware? Why didn't you ask? And you had doubt. Okay, that is intentional unawareness. What about unintentional awareness? That means the doubt did not encounter in his mind, or it encountered, but his friend was not able to answer, or he could not get an answer at that time. So this will be the unintentional unintentional unawareness, or unintentional ignorance. So not doubting, or doubted but did not have any means to clarify his doubt. So he tried his best. So this is what he says. If his unawareness was unintentional, undeliberate, not deliberate, then his tawaf will be valid. Otherwise, if his unawareness was intentional, deliberately he remain unaware, ignorant, then his tawaf will be invalid. Question number 9. If um, someone performing the tawaf realized the impurity of the body or the dress, that means that body or dress has been defiled during the tawaf. So he realized during the tawaf. أو طرأت عليه قبل فراغه منه, or before completing the tawaf, it encountered. Okay? Some wise guy sneezed on you and that sneeze had blood. Okay? أو طرأت النجاسة عليه قبل فراغه منه, or the najasat encountered on him before what? Before completing the tawaf. Okay, that's the scenario. He realized that his body has najasat on the body. That means najasat was there before, but he got the knowledge. If a person realizes the existence of impurity or the defilement of this body or dress during the tawaf, he realizes, or no, he was pure, okay, but during the tawaf it encountered. Okay, so that is the scenario. He realized that there's a najasat on his body, or no, the najasat encountered. In both cases, there's a knowledge. So, and he was not able to purify his body or dress without breaking the consistency. He can break the tawaf and go more than 10-15 minutes, purify it, and come back. Depends on the type of the najasat or uh, the the quantity of the najasat and the severity of the najasat, and does it require more time or not. So here in this scenario, if he was not able to purify his body or dress from that impurity without, if he was not able to, without interrupting um, the consistency, the commonly considered consistency, or the consistency which is considered in the common observation or the common observer. And we said in the case of tawaf, a gap of 10 minutes, more than 10 minutes, or leaving the platform of tawaf even for 1 minute breaks the consistency. So he was not able to without breaking the consistency. That means if he is going to remove, it's going to break the consistency. And so now he was not able to what? He was not able to remove it or remove the impurity or purify his dress or body without breaking the consistency. وَكَانَ الْعِلْمِ بِهَا أَوْ Okay, so here's the thing. What if he was able to do it without breaking the consistency? That means less than 10 minutes, he would purify it, then complete the tawaf. Be it after first round, second round, third round, it doesn't matter. But if there's going to be breaking in the consistency, then we come to the rule of completing the fourth round or before completing the fourth round. So, this guy needs to break the consistency. It's going to take more than 10 minutes, or he has to get out of the platform of salat, the tawaf. So he says, وَكَانَ الْعِلْمُ بِهَا أو طروها قبل إكمال الشوط الرابع. So he says, if the not having the knowledge of the existence of najasat on the body or the dress, or the encounterance of it was before completing the fourth round. Like for example, remember our fourth round, this was our corner, was our Hajj al-Aswad. He's completing, and just as completing the fourth round, completing, and a wise guy sneezed on him, and the blood came. It just was like one step away from Hajj al-Aswad, and the sneeze of that wise guy had blood on it, in it. Or maybe this is a bit disgusting example, so let's try to give you example from yourself. He was completing, and he sneezed on himself, and when he sneezed, the blood came out of his nose and on his body. Anyhow, before completing the fourth round. So in this case, is it compulsory for him to remove the najasat and complete the tawaf, or he should continue the tawaf with the impurity? So this is a question. It was almost like an answer. So the answer is, if it was if it was before the fourth round, after the fourth round, okay, he can continue. But the question is, وَكَانَ الْعِلْمِ بِهَا قَبْلَ إِتْمَامِ. The having the knowledge of it or its encounterance was before completing the fourth round. He says then it is obligatory to purify his body or dress from that impurity and then complete the tawaf. But Sayyidina, the consistency will be lost. Yeah, I mean, it's before the fourth round. That's fine, because it's not like he was not deliberate in najasat. It encountered. It was not in his hand. He realized there was najasat. That means knowledge. Or sneeze came and it encountered. Nobody would deliberately make himself najis while doing the tawaf. You see, like he knows that when he will sneeze, the blood will come out. So he brings a thread or something like that and he picks his nose just for the sake of sneezing, and the blood comes out. So I mean, nobody would do like that unless if he had some kind of sickness, God forbid. But anyhow, so finding the najasat on the body or dress was an accidental issue, or encounters of the najasat during the tawaf on his body, and on his body or dress was an accidental issue. So we're talking about accidental thing. So he says that yuzilu najasa, he removes the najasa, ويطهر البدن, and he purifies his body or the dress. Then he completes the tawaf. Final question. He says, what about carrying a bag? A bag which has a long strap. So it's a backpack or the bag which they carry during the tawaf to keep the shoes in it, or to keep the cell phone or book or whatever, money. So this bag had long strap, um, and he kept the strap on his neck. Normally, the bag, normally you keep the strap, or the backpack you keep on the shoulder. The strap comes like that. So anyhow, uh, so he carried the bag on his shoulder with long strap, or he carried the backpack on his back, and he kept his hands inside. Like the backpack, you keep the hand inside. So they say it's like wearing a coat. Like wearing a backpack is like wearing a coat. So he said or he wore a backpack, or he kept a backpack behind his back, obviously, and he entered his two hands inside from inside these straps from both sides. Will this be considered a dress that he's not supposed to perform the tawaf with it if the bag became najis, or if the bag was najis? If the bag was najis, so is it considered that he has worn something najis during the tawaf? Obviously, the whole criteria is it considered libas or not, or a carried object? So carried object, we mentioned you can carry najasat. The question is it considered a libas because he kept his hands, like he wore a backpack? He says that this is not considered a libas. This is not considered a dress. This is considered from carrying the mutanajjis. So someone who carries the mutanajjis. So carrying the backpack is carrying the mutanajjis. There are a few rulings about the circumcision. We mentioned this, but let's see what is there for which is not mentioned there. So there are like 5 questions. We'll cover them, inshallah. If a person who's performing the Hajj and Umrah and he's in Makkah realize that his circumcision is incomplete. So what does that mean, incomplete? That means the forehead skin needs to be cut. Okay. So the forehead skin was not cut completely. They have to pull the forehead skin and grips, cut it. So he did not pull the entire forehead skin. He pulled a little bit. The one who did the process of circumcision. And the guy who was doing circumcision, he thought that just pull and cut and that's it. So he pulled and cut. No, they have to pull it all the way. Like the curtain goes out. So it needs to roll back elastically. So the circumcision was incomplete. لعدم إزالة الغلفة تماما. The forehead skin was not removed totally. فما هو تكليفه? What is his responsibility? So the guy is lucky. The answer is لا يعتبر في الختان الواجب إزالة الغلفة بالمرة بل ظهور الحشفة بحيث لا يصدق أنه أغلف. In the circumcision, the obligatory circumcision is not required. In the obligatory circumcision, it is not required that the entire forehead skin is clipped off or cut off. Okay, so if it was cut off partially, in a way that the head is obvious, in a way that he is not considered someone who's uncut, then it is okay. So the main thing is it should not be considered uncut. Number 2, I can't go into further details. So if anyone has further questions, they can always ask. Again, you mentioned in the manasik, the question says you mentioned in the manasik that a person who is uncut or not circumcised the tawaf would not be valid, or a tawaf will be invalid from a person who is uncut or not circumcised. So trying to think of proper wording, not to be disrespectful. Yeah. So if he was not considered circumcised and he was considered uncut, so he is like the one who has abandoned the salat on the basis of obligatory precaution. This is he is bringing the is quoting his Sayyidi Sistani in his book, that you said the one who's uncut or uncircumcised, if he performs the tawaf, his tawaf is invalid. If someone was considered uncut or uncircumcised, so, and he is such as the one who abandons the katarik al-tawaf mutlaqan, as if he has abandoned the tawaf in every case. فما المراد بالإطلاق? So what do you mean by it in every case? Like, what is every case? Is someone who has abandoned the tawaf absolutely. So what do you mean by this absoluteness? And to what extent is the limit of this obligatory precaution you mentioned? He says the meaning of absoluteness is in every case, which is inclusive to someone who is excused, such as someone who forgot the circumcision, or he forgot, or he was unaware. But which type of unaware? The one who was unintentional, ignorant. Okay, he did not deliberately, never came in his mind that he has to circumcise. He never came in mind. He never, the people, they don't know whether they are circumcised or not. So this is the extent of the obligatory precaution and the absoluteness, that it is inclusive to every case. The one who is excused in other cases, here on the basis of obligatory precaution is unexcused, such as someone who forgot, or someone who was unaware, but this kind of unawareness was out of deliberateness. Otherwise, if he was not deliberately unaware, then there is an extra, that's an exceptional case. Okay. Yeah. What about, the question says, someone is uncut or uncircumcised. The doctors, they decided that circumcision is harmful for that person. So how would he perform the Hajj? He says, perform the Hajj. If Hajj becomes obligatory, go perform the Hajj, such as any other person. However, as an obligatory precaution, uh, he should perform the tawaf by himself for the Umrah and Hajj, and also delegate um, someone to perform the tawaf on his behalf for the Umrah and Hajj. So basically, he goes, but there's an obligatory precaution. So in case if his tawaf was invalid, so someone, the one who was delegated to do the tawaf on his behalf, performed the tawaf on his behalf. ويصلي هو صلاة الطواف بعد طواف النائب. Okay, so now we understood the tawaf, that he does the tawaf and he also delegates someone to do the tawaf on his behalf in Umrah and Hajj. What about Salat al-Tawaf? They say first let the Naib do the Salat al-Tawaf. Then he does. Because in Salat, the circumcision is required. And in Tawaf, the circumcision is required. However, in Tawaf, there are some ihtiyatat, obligatory precaution, but in Salat, it's a kind of extreme extremely necessary issue. So here he performs the salat after the salat of the representative. So they both do the tawaf and they both do the salat of tawaf. Question number 4. It is mentioned in the manasik that someone who's uncut or uncircumcised, if he was not able to perform the circumcision due to the harm, then obligatory precaution that he should perform the tawaf by himself in his Umrah and Hajj, and to delegate someone or represent someone to perform the tawaf on his behalf. Um, so same ruling, but as a follow-up. So therefore, he does and the delegate does. This is what was mentioned in مناسك. فهل يجوز أن يطوف المكلف والنائب في وقت واحد أم لا بد من التعاقب? Okay. So the question is, can they do the tawaf together? Because in Salat al-Tawaf, previous ruling says first that the delegate does the Salat al-Tawaf, and then the person by himself does. So first the representative then. But what about tawaf? Can they do tawaf together, or they have to do one after another? He says they can do both cases. They can do one after another, and they can do both together. Okay, final question. A child who's 2 years old, he went with his guardian to the Umrah to perform the Umrah. However, he was uncircumcised or uncut. Now he's 26 years old and he wants to get married. Oh, is there any problem in his marriage? He says there is no problem in his marriage. Number one, okay, it's only tawaf and salat. The ruling of salat and the ruling of tawaf, circumcision has been mentioned. And that the male should be circumcised, not the female. Male should be circumcised before he becomes baligh. Why? Because the salat requires that, and if he's going for hajj as well. So he says, number one, there is no problem in his marriage. What about the tawaf he did? He says فإنه لا يعتبر الختان في الإطافة بالصبي غير مميز. If the child was not a discerning child, he could not distinguish the good from the bad, and he was less than that age, then the circumcision is not required in it. So this is something which he mentioned a few rulings with regards to the circumcision. Now we have some questions and answers regarding covering the private part for someone who is performing the tawaf, because as in salat, covering the private part is obligatory. In tawaf, covering the private parts is also obligatory. That means no whoopsie daisy kind of ihram falling down kind of situation. We are going to discuss this in our upcoming session. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.